Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening and welcome to House Talk. I am your host, Dr. Lauren D. Pitts. The perception of how Black women communicate has been constructed to portray us enraged, bitter, or just plain pathetic. I'm sure you've all heard at some point, was it something I said? We hear, it's not what you said, it's how you said it. Well, we're definitely going to be saying some powerful stuff tonight. My guest hosts tonight, Regina Williams and Carolyn Peterson, are back to help me facilitate what we know will be a dynamic discussion. Regina and Carolyn, welcome back to House Talk.
Oh, thanks for having me back.
Exciting back. I'm just thinking back to the last 3 or 4 weeks and how awesome the experience of being on this radio show has been, and how I've been motivated to do more with women and my peers, and I'm just excited. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Additionally, I'm beyond super excited to welcome to House Talk for the first time relationship and sex guru Jacqueline Andrade. Welcome, Jackie.
Hey, thank you so very much for the invitation. And I am super excited to be here and can't wait to get it started.
Absolutely. I also want to welcome, and I will tell you folks, Sarita Gary Washington was supposed to be joining us tonight, and unfortunately something has come up and she's not going to be able to join us. But we have another heavy hitter in the studio with us tonight. We have Tracy Huggins that's going to be joining us to add to this powerful discussion. And I know I sound a little winded and all of that, and that's because I was in this amazing ladies' night with a renewed mind that Tracy Wells Huggins does every week in Vineland, New Jersey, and what an amazing ladies' night it was. So welcome for the first time, my people. Tracy Wells Huggins. Welcome to House Talk. Yes.
Thank you. I am so beyond excited to be in this space with you guys. I cannot wait to hear the conversation tonight, and I'm looking forward to all of the amazing work that you guys do.
Absolutely. So the bios of these relationship experts are available on each of our social media platforms and the slideshow running during the show. I'm certainly going to do Tracy justice and make sure that her bio gets uploaded when I load the keys for your key ring at the end of the show. And check this out. I want to kick it off like this. I don't know if any of you saw the May 5th episode of Jada Pinkett Smith, Red Table Talk, the first lady of the NBA, Meet the Currys. But Steph's wife, Aisha, said, I have zero male attention. Then I begin to internalize it. Is there something wrong with me? What a powerful and transparent and vulnerable statement Aisha made. And I think it is a thought-provoking statement to kick off tonight's show. So on that note, I'm going to turn it over to Carolyn.
Are you there? Oh. Well, what do you think? What do you want or need from your mate and others with whom you have relationships? More attention, more time, more respect, greater appreciation? And how do you ask for that? Do you demand it? Do you give ultimatums? Do you out around and stomp? Let these questions and your answers to them marinate, because effective communication is something Dr. Pitts prides herself on, and it is her belief that strengthening families one solution at a time becomes easier when communication is effective and relationships are healthy. For our regular listeners and those new to House Talk, this month, Dr. Pitts is doing just that, using this platform to communicate solution-focused tools to educate, empower, and liberate our listeners. Black women bear considerable responsibility for the well-being of their families and the quality of their familial relationships can make bearing that responsibility easier or harder. Tonight we're going to explore these relationships along with communication strategies necessary to strengthen and sustain them. You'll probably want to take some notes because tonight we're talking about Black women, interpersonal relationships, and communication. We really want you to join the discussion, ask a question, or share a comment. So call us live at 515-605-9744. Again, that number is 515-605-9744. Call in. We want to talk to you.
Absolutely. Check this out, y'all. Almost 70%, 70% of Black children are born to single mothers. And in many urban communities across the country, single mothers are struggling to rear their children in the absence of the fathers, often resulting in heightened levels of stress for the mother. I was that single mama. You know, we did the darn thing, but I'm trying to tell you, there was many a day that I was ready to bang my head on the wall because that single parent thing is no joke. And my son's father was actively involved in his life, but there were times that I was just grinning and bearing it and grinding that thing out by myself. So bearing this information in mind, who do you say, ladies? Who's the head of the household? Let's talk about that for a minute. Who's the head of the household?
Tracy.
Well, I know for myself, I've been a single mother, that it was often challenging to not be the head of the household. You have to many times step into the role whether you want to or not. And so you have to make a conscious decision about how the house is going to be run. And then it runs into people misinterpreting who you are as a woman. Because the desire is to be a helpmeet and a helpmate and to be the vessel, as it were. But all the times, especially as a woman, you're not allowed to be.
Right. That's right. We super women. We wear that cape. We was talking about that tonight. It's like you got to take the cape off. Jackie, what you think?
Well, for me, my husband is the head of the house. So first Jesus, then him.
All right.
It just works in my household. It just works for us to have clear identified roles. And but that being said, there have been times where he's worked a second shift, and so he would work from 2 in the afternoon till 10 in the evening, and that meant that all of decision-making had to pretty much be on my shoulders. So when he went to first shift, the roles changed, and we've had a little bit of a power struggle, and so we had to identify those roles again. But for me, ultimately, I leave most of the big decision-making to him. This works better
Jackie,
for my household.
When you say that you all had to sort of rethink the roles, can you speak to that a little bit? Because I think that many of our listeners are going through that, right? It's this power struggle, and oftentimes we know that, sometimes, we're strong. We all personality and the neck roll and the eyes and everything else, and I tell you what, and we get to clicking our nails and all of that stuff, right? So what can you speak to a little bit of what did that discussion or that process that you all went through to sort of redefine those roles? Shed some light on that for our listeners.
Well, in the beginning, of course, you don't realize what's happening. You just know that you're butting heads at every corner. You're happy that you're able to spend time with each other more than what we did, and I was happy that he could go to the kids' games and he could be a part of the kids' whatever. But it messed up our routine. The kids were used to me doing everything, and they were used to just asking me. And then my husband was like, well, what about me? And I'm like, well, you have to remember you haven't been here for the first 12 years of their life. You were on a different shift. And so although we've been married 22 years, every stage you have to reevaluate. You have to readjust, and you have to be conscious of what's going on in your relationship dynamics. You can't just be like, oh, this feels off, and just leave it. You have to say, this feels off, but what do I have to do now? And love requires you to dig deeper. And sometimes it requires you to get really ugly, and sometimes it requires you to go to bed a little bit, not angry, but uncomfortable, for lack of a better word, because you have to kind of fight through that storm together. And it looks very different for everybody. But for us, when there's a balance has changed in your dynamic in your household, right. And I think everybody knows what I'm talking about. The rhythm is just off. You can't pinpoint it. You don't know what it is. But what you have to do is you have to sit down and say, listen, something's off and we need to figure out what it is. And sometimes that's just allowing him, loving him enough to know you have to listen to what his heart is saying. If he's mad at the way you're responding to him, look at yourself and allow him and ask him to do the same thing for you. If you're needing more affection, babe, instead of allowing him to guess at it, tell him exactly. Like, babe, listen, I'm going to need you to rub my back more on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm expecting a back massage. Because
Tuesdays back rub day. Look here. We need that back rub on Tuesdays and Thursdays, please. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes. Because I think clear boundaries and clear expectations makes for good relationships, at least lasting ones, because and readjusting them often, as often as you need to. Sometimes as your kids grow and your relationships grow and you change as people, you may have to do it more than once in a year.
Wow.
This past year for us has been real rough.
Okay. I think, and I'm just going to keep it real. I'm real vulnerable and transparent right now. I really think that in so many ways, you and Tracy, and I wish that Sarita had been able to actually join us tonight. I think that you all are more seasoned, if you will, relationship experts than I. So I'm just going to go ahead and put it out there. One of the challenges that I ran into in my marriage and where that power struggle that you talked about came into play was that, God bless him, my husband is deceased now, but he suffered for many, many, many years with drug addiction. And the hard part for me was that because of the presence of addiction in our lives, and it adversely impacted every area of our lives, but it left me wearing the pants and the skirt, if you will. I didn't want to be the dude. Right. I didn't want to be the head of the house. I wanted to, work every day and all that, but I wanted to be provided for and taken care of. But I found myself in this situation where, because the addiction just ran amok and just created so much damage in our marriage, in our finances, in every aspect of our lives, I was wearing the pants, and it's like, keeping it real, I had a hard time relinquishing those reins when he was sober, because it's like, screws you, N-word, you wasn't here. I'm busting my back trying to take care of us, and you're doing your thing, and total transparency, I wasn't always as empathetic as I should have been and could have been as a godly woman, as a godly wife. I was hurt, I was devastated, and I was feeling some type of way that I had to wear the pants and the skirt. So can you and Tracy speak to that a little bit? Because let's keep this real. I ain't on that island by myself. I'm not the only woman that was married to somebody struggling with addiction, that was out there doing what they do when they're in full-blown addiction. And it's like you get that destructive entitlement that we talk about. It's like, well, how are you gonna come in here and tell me something to do, and I'm paying all the bills and holding us down? Can y'all speak to that?
Tracy, you got next, girl, or you want me to go?
Look, girl, you got next.
Let me be clear on this one, because I have some thoughts and some serious transparency in this as well. Go ahead, my dear.
Everything that you want to go, they
I mean, that's passing it around.
Here, look, it's like a hot potato.
Look, Cricket,
listeners
Well,
is waiting.
I can definitely speak to that from my perspective. For me, I recognize that we all have addictions. We are all addicted to something, and your husband's happened to be a drug addiction, which destroyed your family in a different way than someone who says have a shopping addiction or someone who has an eating disorder. And when I say eating disorder, y'all listen, I'm struggling with losing weight, and I keep struggling with losing the same doggone 50 pounds. I love my sweets. So that's an addiction for me. And it may not affect my relationship the way society says that it should, but the reality is it is affecting our relationship, because when I'm upset, I eat. When I'm happy, I eat. That's my go-to. So to deal with someone who has an addiction, all of us are there. So you're not alone in that struggle. We have all been around someone who has been. My husband is addicted to playing video games or having control. That's an addiction. You cannot relinquish control. So in that aspect, I really think that it's difficult for your relationship to bloom and blossom when you're coming from a place of hurt. And that hurt comes from, I can't trust you. I can't trust the fact that you're going to be the head of the household, because every time I've trusted you and you said you weren't going to do it again, you failed me. And you failed me miserably. And then I'm left to pick up all of the pieces. I'm left to glue everything back together. I'm left having to organize payment plans and whatever else it took for the missing money to now be fixed. So over time, you begin to build this hardened exterior, not so much because you want to, because it becomes a survival mechanism. And that survival mechanism is what keeps you sane. Because if you allow yourself to be vulnerable to this person each time, you know, because history has shown you this, that it's going to devastate you. It's going to destroy you. And now guess what? Your husband becomes the enemy. And now the person that you're supposed to love now becomes the biggest combat. You're now, every time you see him, are in fight mode. So it's hard to build a relationship like that, but not impossible. And I think when you begin to put those pieces, for me personally, the way it would have to work for me in order for my relationship to work, if I was going to stay in that relationship, would have to be, we have to begin to strip ourselves bare and start from the bottom. We have to build trust again. And that would look very different. And that would mean we would have specific, listen, on this night, I need you to follow through with this. If you can't follow through with this, I'm not going to be able to trust you. And if I can't trust you, I can't be with you, for me personally. So,
that's real.
Girl, it's a struggle, but we all have addictions, and relationships are just difficult, but so necessary. None of us are islands. We all need each other. And here's the thing, guys. We just have to figure out who we want to. It's going to be hard no matter who you're with. Black, white, blue, green, whatever. You've been with one man, you've been with them all. we
just got different names.
Right, they just got different colors. They got different names and different names.
Different names. That's real.
Yeah.
That's so real.
So one is not better than the other. It is just one might have more things that you think are workable for you. But any relationship you're in is workable. It's workable.
Okay. So thank you for that. And go right into that. My scenario was a little bit different because he was not my husband, but he was the father of my children and still is to this day. Very, very good father in terms of being there for the children. But when it came to being a partner and a life mate and to actually step up into the role of husband then, that was not what he was capable of at that time.
Okay.
So during 14 years that we were together, I learned, and one of the things that I learned was that if I was not the one who was making sure that things were in order, that there would be challenges in the house. So much so that at one point, it almost seemed as if, like you said, Lauren, you had to bring home the bacon, fry it up, make sure that things got taken care of.
Yes.
And at the same time, you're trying to still maintain and not build resentment for the fact that you're not able to step back and fall into the role that was ordained for you.
Yes.
Now that I have a husband, the world is different. But I will say we're all married to the same man in some way, shape, or form.
Look right. Say that.
I love him dearly. And it's a very, very different world. But I have learned the blessing now of not having to be the one that has to completely and totally hold the reins. But that was challenging because of my prior experience.
Right.
So by the time I met my husband, he meets me as this super independent, strong woman and able to leap over buildings in a single bound and be able to hold things together, maintain the children, super sister, the character, Yeah.
Right.
And yet, at the same time, the things that drew him to me in terms of that strength were the very same things that caused a lot of anxiety and agita, because I had to learn or relearn how to be able to be the woman I'm supposed to be in a relationship, the woman I desired to be, but the woman that I hadn't been allowed to be based on a situation that I was in prior.
Yeah.
And, my children, they love their adults now, praise the Lord, hallelujah.
Thank you.
And I wouldn't change that for the world.
Yeah.
And I always tell me, your daddy's such a good daddy, because he's a good daddy. But when it comes to that provision aspect of things, the reality just was not there. And so it was challenging.
Absolutely.
Okay. What you got to say, Regina? Well, I think I'm going to be a chronically single person at the table.
Not chronically single. Chronically single now?
No.
Chronically single?
I DSM-4 is diagnosed.
Yes.
Where is that in the DSM?
Yes, I've been diagnosed with singleism.
Oh, my goodness.
I can't take it because I've always found myself in relationships where not trying to, but it just seemed as though because of my strengths, because of what I needed to do, and it could be, could have a lot to do with the choices I made. But the choices I made, it just seemed as though my strengths and the things that I brought to the table seemed to emasculate or make the man feel emasculated, so much so that it just tore things apart, and I wasn't able to combat that. But a lot of that came from me being the provider, me being, I had to, support the guy in and out of jail. He wasn't an addict, but he, had, his trials and tribulations and things of that nature. He let him take his kids, take my kids, and things of that nature. But as you said, 19 years later, I'm chronically single at this point because I wasn't able to master that and wasn't able to remain in a relationship where the communication and things of that was helpful. So I don't know if that I'm the one that you would like to, that you would need to talk to about that. How about you, Tracy?
Man, it's just too much.
Yes,
right? It can be too much. But to move along, with all this responsibility that so many women have, do we as emergent and strong, independent women emasculate the traditional role of the man in relationships and marriage?
I say yeah.
Yeah. So,
look, let me go ahead. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I do. I think that it tied into, in part, the whole angry black woman syndrome, and I forget which one of you said, or maybe we all said, because of all of these injustices that we've experienced in our relationships based on our picks, as Regina so eloquently put it, we get mad about some stuff, and we have a right to be mad, but we don't have a right to allow that unresolved anger to put us in this place and space where we're emasculating.
Right.
And, house talk, we keep it butt naked around these parts. And we are who we are in Christ and all of that, but I don't want to get spiritually deep with it. But I will say this, for those of us that are believers, we understand that there's an order. Yes. And for those of us that are believers, it's God, man, wife, children. Yes. And when the man is not walking in the fullness of who he's predestined to be, as the kingly anointed man, husband, as if he's not the priest of our home, the Bible makes us know that any man who doesn't properly provide for his family is worse than an unbeliever. So again, I don't come to preach, but I'm just telling you, those are the principles that my life is governed by. And in that, though, where I had to take responsibility and accountability for the wrongs that I committed in my marriage was that I, for many years, functioned from that place of pain and brokenness and the lack of trust that I had and all of the violation that came in. And he told me, he said that the drugs were the other woman. There were times that I'm like, well, there were other women too, but it all just hurt me to the core of my soul, and I was broken to the core. And that came forth as emasculation. It came forth as disrespect. It came forth as retaliation. It came forth as vindictive and spitefulness. And then for me, God started dealing with me. Yeah. Because for those of us that are believers, we also know the Bible says to us that we can sanctify our husbands when we're walking in the fullness of that sanctification of who he's called us to be. So my long-winded answer to the question is yes. I think that many women, whether they believe in God or whoever, too many women of color, for a whole variety of reasons, are guilty, if you will, listeners, of emasculating men and treating them like their child, or in some cases, if I can just be real transparent, treat them like a dog, and wonder why some of the stuff is happening. Well, some of the stuff continues to happen that is tearing the fiber of the relationship apart because you're playing the blame game and you're busy pointing the finger at how he ain't this, he ain't that, and he said this and he said that. Okay, well, ain't none of us perfect. So what's your contribution to the demise of your relationship? That'll be another show because I'm dedicating the whole summer to men's issues, so I'm going to give them the platform to kick our back in.
So what you're saying is you want to help my chronic single.
I'm going to help your chronicle singleismness. Okay. And I'm going to dedicate this whole good summer to the men's issues, and I'm going to create this platform for them to get it off. I'm going to let y'all know, though. I'm going to keep them respectful. Okay. But I'm going to give them full reign to purge and to get it off their chest. Because at the end of the day, listeners, we ain't perfect. Right. Yes, I did. Right. With my doctor credentials, I said ain't. Right. We ain't perfect, and we got junk that we need to deal with, and everybody needs to take responsibility and accountability for their contribution to these relationships. Mic drop. Who's next? Go ahead.
Absolutely. This is Jacqueline, and I definitely feel that society, we do emasculate men 100%, but I believe that subliminally that social media and commercials and all of that plays a role in it where we're not even conscious of it anymore. That it's such a hard thing, too, because when if we just kept things like real 100, like God has anticipated it for us to be, there was nothing wrong with when Eve showed up, everything was taken care of. So back in the 50s, when all the women were like, we want to go out and work, why? Why? What was wrong with not that you couldn't work, but I'm saying, like, why would we want to take away the role of the mother being the nurturer and And look, if somebody told me I could stay home all day and not have to do
Girl.
I'm totally okay with that because that's how, that's how
Say
we
that.
are. Well,
I work because I have to, not I want to.
Right. And imagine, like, just think about it. When we came home from school, our moms were home. We had somebody, a confidant to talk to. Our households were clean. Moms were teaching girls how to be women. Like, and I hate to sound like so 50-ish, but y'all get what I'm saying, right? Like, we have now, we don't need you. We can do it ourselves. Well,
right.
I don't want to do it myself. I want a partner.
Right.
I want when my money looking funny, my husband be like, "Here you go, baby."
Right. Well, look, we sitting here in the studio together, and we're sitting around the table, and you just said that me and Regina looked at each other, and Tracy's story too. So look,
you hit us with the beaver cleavers.
Yeah, you did, girl. Look here, Mama.
Look, her runs the business.
That look, I am so thankful and grateful that is your story, and I'm gonna live vicariously through your memories. But my mama went to work. My grandma
really?
did.
No, my mom.
Yeah, girl, my mom went to work. Shift work in a glass factory. She grinded that thing out. Now I will say this, in all fairness, I thank God for having an amazing grandmother who was a homemaker. Yeah. So even though my mom was grinding it out in the glass factory, my grandmother was home. So I did have 3 hots and a cot.
Right.
I did have 3 hots and a cot and didn't have to get a record for it.
That's right.
Because Dorothy Pitts did the darn thing and made sure that we were taken care of. But I grew up in a single parent home, as some of the listeners know. I've never met my biological father. I'm 51 years old, be 52 soon. I've never met my biological father, and I will shout out right now that my stepfather was absolutely, positively amazing. He raised me, but we had some challenges there with some things that transpired in his life where he had to be away from us for a while. So it was, it was the makeshift beaver, right. Opie and them trying to make that thing happen. And it was called D. And that whole village. So hats off to you and yours. Girl, that was my story. That was my story.
And it's nothing wrong with that story, but if you had a mother figure that you came home to, is what I'm saying. Oh, and I feel like a lot of things that the kids are missing now is grandmoms are not grandmoms like we had. Grandmoms.
Now you have 3 generations in the club.
Right.
You have the grandma, the mom, and the daughter.
Right. And the great grandma is only 55.
Right. No, you're right. You're right. So where mom couldn't do, grandmom did, and grandmom showed you what it meant to at least, when I know how to love a man, know how to, it's okay to fix his plate. It's okay to, serve him. That's okay. That doesn't mean that you're less than or you're not equal to him because you bring your man his plate. It doesn't. But a lot of women feel differently about that, and that's fine. But I'm just not one who feels that. It brings me honor and joy to be able to serve my man. That's all.
Right. And Jackie, for real, I'm right there with you. I will say this, that on my mom's days off, to this day, me and my stepfather aren't together anymore, but he's still spoiled rotten. He will come to the crib and be like, Paulette, I need you to fix me something to eat. And look, while she's busy fussing with her independent, overly obnoxious self, she's steady in the kitchen clanging pots and pans. Because when George he needs some grub, she's fixing it. But I'm right there with you. That's one of the things that she did teach us, because the men that I have been in a relationship with and the amazing blessing of a mate that I have now, they're spoiled rotten. My mom was first, her and my grandpa cooked, but he didn't have to. Right. And Paulette was all about cutting George's meat. Mom, he can't cut his own meat. What? But guess who turned around and did the same thing? Spoil them rotten. And like you said, I count it an honor and a privilege to to love on my mate that way and to let him know that I do celebrate him, Eric Reginald Bounds, no senior.
Okay,
I do celebrate him for the mighty man of God that he is, for how he pours into me and loves me unconditionally. And I'm going to say it publicly to the world, it is the healthiest relationship that I have ever been in my life. So how dare I not properly honor him, not properly spoil him right, not properly make sure that he knows that he is king in that capacity as far as the intimate relationship goes.
Yeah, when I grow up, I want to be just like y'all. I promise.
Girl, no, you look. No, you don't. What about that tonight? To be me. I ain't get to go.
Okay. You are listening to House Talk with Dr. Laura Pitt. And listeners, we want you to join the discussion. Call in and share your comments or ask a question. The number is 515-605-9744. That's 515-605-9744. We are here for you, so don't let your comment or question go unheard. Let's talk about it. I'm not ashamed to talk about it. Or you?
I do. You know, I don't have no shame. I spent enough years in shame.
Yeah.
I'm free today.
Yes.
I'm freer today.
Absolutely.
Give us free. I'm freer today than I have ever been in my life.
Yes.
So, and I
Absolutely.
touched on it a little bit earlier. So, you know, I've often shared that I actually learned a great deal from a failed marriage, and equally, if not more, from those in my life to staying healthy and fulfilling relationships and marriages. Tracy, you're one, just right here on the show. Jacqueline, you're one. Like, y'all are just such a tremendous blessing, you know, and encouragement to me. And there's hope for me.
Yes.
There's hope.
Yes.
There's
Yes.
There's
There's
hope.
Yes.
There's hope.
Yes.
So ladies, what can you give us non-married folk? I won't say us single folk, us non-married folk that really do want to be in a marital union, or not, even if not married, be a healthy, fulfilling, committed relationship, even if marriage is not necessarily for you. What makes or creates a healthy, fulfilling relationship or marriage?
For me, it was understanding that for the next relationship that I would be in, because I always knew I was called to be a wife.
Just Tracy talking.
Yeah. I knew I was called to be a wife. I knew I was called to be a mother. And so, you know, even though I felt like I lived most of my life in reverse because of the choices I made, ultimately I knew I wanted to be a wife. I knew that I wanted to be a wife in the real sense. So for me, what I'm learning throughout my journey, and I think it's so cute that you think that we're doing something great in Jay.
My
Oh, you know the glow, you don't know the story. But the reality is, you know, we're learning through the journey that it's important for us to be honest and respectful at every step. I have to respect who he is, all of his little nuances, which were driving
Jackie
me
just
crazy.
said that to me last night when we was talking. Go ahead.
Yes, and so I'm confirming that.
Yes.
And it's just a matter of understanding who he is, what he's capable of, what makes him tick, and then also understanding that we can be the process of becoming one while still maintaining ourselves.
Okay.
And so that's been a bit of a challenge. I think we're in a really sweet place right now.
Okay.
And also surrounding yourself with people who are strong.
People
People who are strong, things that you believe in, that can guide you, that can support you, that can call you out when you're wrong. You have to also be the one, because I found myself at one point, oh, this isn't going to work anymore. I don't care how fine he is. I don't care.
Y'all look with these fine husbands.
I don't care.
That's how fine her husband is all the time. Y'all with these fine husbands.
Seriously, I got to the point where I was like, yeah, this is not going to work. And so I was told by a friend who was a counselor, said, you know what? When you pray, ask God to reveal you to you. And I was like, wait a minute, hold up. What's wrong with me? We're talking about him. We're not talking about me. Because I'm not the problem here. And being a biblical counselor, I know that I have to sit back and really, like, I had to take that in with a grain of salt.
Yes.
But once I did, and I feel like you said, all the finger pointing, there were fingers pointing back at me.
Yes.
And so I had to just be able to eat a lot of things, own a lot of things, ownership of what's going on with you, and understanding what is driving you.
Okay.
Is part of what helps you grow in your relationship. And we're in a good place right now. I'm excited.
Okay. Look, y'all in the sweet spot.
Yeah, well, I love me some him.
Jacqueline, what say you? Give us some successes, baby. Please help us.
Well, for me, the number one thing is praying for shut up grace, because I have a mouth. And it can be
shut up grace. I ain't never heard that before.
Yes, ma'am.
She said she prayed for shut up grace. Okay. I use some of that.
Jack, I think you're my new hero.
I've never heard that before in my life. Great. And I'm okay. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Because oftentimes for me, because I know my mouth can be deadly. Like, I can rip you.
Every black woman in
I can be nasty. You know how we get, y'all. Y'all know how we get down. And so my biggest thing was to recognize that the words that I say can damage my husband or they can exalt him. And when the Lord showed me how the words that I was using was damaging him, and sometimes things that are damaged cannot be repaired, it was better for me to just shut my mouth. Sometimes I had to stick a washcloth in my mouth just to shut up. The man was getting on my nerves so bad, but I probably was right most of the time, but it was the delivery of it. And I could say the same thing, but not in the same way. So I had to pray, God, please just give me grace to shut my mouth and listen. Shut my mouth and listen. I'll be like, Lord, give me shut up, grace, shut up, shut up, shut up, dang it, shut up, shut up. So that.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No. I was just going to ask you about the shut up grace and piggyback on that and ask you to expound a little bit more, because what I found, in my family, most of my friends, my clients, and most of the women of color that I know, we don't want to shut up. We want to have the last word. We're going to be heard. If it kill us, we'll follow him into the next. I'm not talking to you.
Right.
Look, and they accuse them of trying to control us because so you going to say what you say, and then it's over. We're just, you know how we do. Can you speak to that with those women out there that that don't want no part of shut up grace, because they just have to have the last word, to the detriment and sometimes the destruction of relationships. So many of my male friends say, if y'all could just learn how to shut up, and we don't want to shut up. Go ahead, I'm going to shut up now.
But I think the reason for us as black women why we don't shut up is because so long we've been told to shut up. And so now what you're not going to do is ever silence me. You're never going to tell me that I can't tell you what my truth is. You're never going to tell me that I can't tell you my heart. But what happens is, if we begin to recognize that the only person that can give us exactly what we need is the Lord Jesus Christ himself. We're demanding these men in our lives to give us what only God can do. And then we get mad when they fail us. And then we want to tell them how bad they are and how this they are and how they're not that. But if we just love them unconditionally right where they're at and just say, God, you know what, just show me how to love them better. That's all. Just show me how to love them the way you love him. Your stress level will go, it will be, you will stress so much less, because ultimately the only person that can meet your needs is Christ. You're not meeting your man's needs like he wants you to, and he can't meet yours because God designed it that way. He don't want us to meet anybody but him. And these relationships that he's blessed us with has been just that. He just allowed us to be blessed to have somebody that we can share this life with. But so oftentimes we think that if it ain't him, it'd be somebody else. But why would you want to think that way? Let me just love this human being that God blessed me to have in my life for however long, because tomorrow he could be gone. He could be gone tonight. But let the legacy that I have with him to be that of I gave life. I gave him a good life. And even when he falls short, love covers. So when he falls short, you could correct him, but not in an angry moment. Most of the time, we don't know who we are in Christ, and we don't know who we are as women, so we feel like we have to pretend and shout across the world who we are because you're going to hear me. But the best conversation sometimes is the one you never have. Your words, show them with your heart. Show them, like my husband could come home like a park ape, screaming and acting crazy. And, I mean, he had said some not so nice words. We all have said some not so nice words. But you know my response is, but I love you. And the last thing that we always do is when it gets too hard, y'all, this is what you do. You fight naked. Because that fight ain't going to last long. Every time you say something mean, take off a piece of clothes. Every time he says something,
I like that. Get naked,
because now you're going to confuse your enemy. Now you're going to confuse your enemy because you're like, what's wrong with this woman?
Look, I forgot to put DMA on this one. It's grown folk talk tonight.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry, girl. You know the sexuality always come out.
I want to really quickly just say something because you touched on something really powerful. One of the things that I've had to learn is that not everything needs to be said.
Yes, that's right.
So there are times where, the grace up, as you spoke about, has really been proven to be effective. Like I can think something, but the words that I speak, I have to make sure that I'm not tearing him down because what I say is going to be more important than what I do in that moment when I'm angry. Yeah. And so I've had to learn that his love language is another thing too. You have to learn the love language for your partner. Yeah. And to learn it from you. But just knowing that, we have the capacity to be incredibly sharp with these tongues of ours.
Ooh, yeah.
And, power of life and death is in the tongue. Do I want our relationship to work and to live? Right. And be abundant in every way, then I need to make sure that my words are seasoned. Yeah. Or I need to be swifter to listen and much slower to speak. Because other than that, I could say some things.
Girl, can't we?
You get kicked off, and the next thing you know, you want to talk about his mom. You can't.
Girl, say that.
I never liked a raggedy ass anyway.
And his old raggedy whatever, right?
Raggedy. Your mom raggedy? No. But that's what the word in the street is. It's the truth. Oh my goodness. So, Jacqueline, if I could be brazen enough to put you on the spot for a minute, because we had our own private show last night. We talked preparing for tonight, and you shared something that is actually a principle that I live by, and I want to share it with the ladies, and I want our listeners to hear it. You said to me when we were talking last night that if people could just understand that relationships are not about I, they're about we. And if we can take the focus off of ourselves and put our focus on our mate, if he can take the focus off of himself and put his focus on us, how are we going to lose? Right. You know what I mean? Right. If it ain't all about I and you didn't do, and if your objective in the healthy, fulfilling, unconditionally loving relationship is to please your woman, and my relationship is to please my man, it goes back to what my pastor said to me and my husband before we had gotten married. They said, I was like, whoa, the other relationships just come like that? But what they said was, Lauren, if you don't take care of your husband, there will be plenty of women lining up more than willing to do it for you. Yeah. And they told him, if you don't take care of your wife, there will be plenty of men lined up and willing to do it for you. And that was a profound statement of wisdom to me, because listeners, whether you're in a marriage or you're in a committed relationship. I keep it far. Had a male friend hit me up the other night. He was supposed to be calling to wish me happy Mother's Day. I was like, okay, really, you need to purge, and you needed to get that off your chest. But he was speaking to that. It's like, we got all these women out here wondering why their men say. And yeah, you know, I post up, I don't know if it was yesterday or today, I said all men are dogs, but some are. And they out there doing their thing, still counting the numbers because they can. Right. And you have some on the real that are straying because we're not on our post. We emasculating. We're not taking responsibility and accountability. Don't get me wrong, listeners. Don't be, you know, deleting my show because we sitting here telling the truth. I'm not saying that it's okay for him to cheat. What I'm saying is you have to be responsible and accountable for what contribution you have made that may be provoking him to have a roaming eye or penis. Let's go ahead and have some grown conversation. And I've been there. I've been there and I've done that and, you know, have lost a couple along the way because I was married to my work, lost one because I left the country. He ended up married to the chick that he was cheating on me with. But at the end of the day, it would have been great and amazing and wonderful had he thought enough of me and us to remain faithful. But guess what? My male friends overseas was like, girl, men ain't cut like that. Real talk. Right. You thought that you was going to be leave for a year and he wasn't going
he wasn't that dude.
He wasn't that dude. Now, some of them would have been that dude. Right. But it wasn't the one I had. And you know what? He's forgiven today. It's all good in the neighborhood. Right. I ain't tripping. It just made me know that he loved me and cared for me for as much as he was able based on who he was and where he was at that particular point in time in his life. Yes. But I had to go because I was being called to do work overseas. Yes. So what we're saying to you listeners is you got to be accountable too. It ain't all he cheated. He said, stop. I ain't going to go there. My mom draws in the flannel pajamas. Right. I'm not going to go there, but you was fine as all outdoors to get him, and now you're looking like who did it and why. I'm going to let men have those conversations this summer because they're going to go smooth in, and it's going to be all right.
Well, I like what Jacqueline was saying when she was saying the conditional love and things of that nature that, you know, apparently when I grow up,
this Regina talking. Regina planning on growing up, y'all. She gonna grow up one day. She don't want to be chronic and single forever.
There's a lot of things you guys said that really resonated with me because at one point I thought it was some kind of a mark on me that basically was, you know, I was unfit or unready, just not capable of a relationship because there were just certain things that I just can't put up with. You know, but at the end of the day, again, it's about choices, it's about effective communication, it's about, you know, being in it and winning. It's about giving as much as taking. And so, you know, I'm feeling kind of good right now. I'm not grown up yet, but I'm getting there. So I want to just say, effective communication is so important to strengthening and sustaining relationships, no matter what the relationship dynamic is. Yeah. Right now, I'm all about sisterhood, all about the community, and that's where my focus is right now. Not you. I'm sorry. So we've given you a ton of information today, but we're going to home for you and give you some things to really keep at the forefront of your mind as you take communication and the health of relationships to the next level, because that's what we're talking about. So here are keys, because we always do the keys. Are keys for your key ring that can help you. Ladies, what is one key principle you want our listeners to get from tonight's show? Tracy. Jim.
Know when to hold them and know when to fold them.
Okay.
From the book of Kenny Rogers. From the book.
I can't. Oh my God.
to say bye-bye.
No walk away. Know when to run.
Yeah.
Truly, like, just know when to just keep your peace.
Yeah.
Because a word that is spoken in the heat of anger can never be retracted.
Right.
And our men, they need us to be speaking life over them and into them. And if we can't do it in that moment, like Jackie said, put tissue in your mouth. Or just do what I've learned to do, is just look at him and lean my head to the side and bite my lip and just say,
Oh. Okay.
And I love you.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
That's powerful.
So just know when to speak and know when not to speak. And that takes practice and intention.
My keys real quick, accept responsibility.
Yes.
Stop shifting it back to somebody else.
Own it.
Own your stuff. Deal with your stuff. Be a better person. And be willing to communicate on whatever level, in whatever relationship you're in.
Wow. Jacqueline?
That's a hard one, but I guess I'm going to go with my regular standby, and mine is reg, R-E-G.
Okay.
And so in relationships, and in our relationship, we often have to go back to the reg. The R meaning we have to identify what our roles are. The E meaning what are your expectations once you identify those roles? What do you expect me to do, and how are we gonna get there? And then the last one is the goals. What goal are we working towards in our relationship? And I think when we keep the R-E-G in front of us in our marriage, we can easily recognize what is your responsibility, what is your role, what are you going to expect from me, and what goal are we working towards? So for me, it's R-E-G, reg. And of course, shut up, Greg.
Look. So before I give my final thought, oh my God, tonight's conversation, goodness gracious, just powerful, thought-provoking, vulnerable, transparent, real, grown folk conversation that we are certainly hoping will help you. But I want to say this before I give my final thought. One of the things that we all shared with you in the very beginning is that we acknowledged that we each made choices that maybe weren't the best as far as our relationship were concerned. Jacqueline and I were talking last night, and we were saying, we've all suffered some hurts. We've all suffered some damage and some trauma in some cases in some relationships that we've been in. And I'm a firm believer that two broken people do not a whole person make. So, and you all that read my posts on social media and stuff, my posts are very accountability focused. They're very solution focused. They're very in your face in that you got to take care of you first. I'm not, I like compatibility like the next person. I like sex like the next person. I like quality time like the next person, and all of those extraordinary things. However, if you are looking for fulfillment from that person to fill a void that you have, it's a void that's not going to be filled. You have got to get healthy and whole first before you can enter into a relationship and expect it to be a healthy, loving, and fulfilling relationship. I believe it was Jacqueline that said early on in the show, you're looking for this man, in essence, paraphrasing, to be your everything when man wasn't created to be our everything. Who you are and where you are in your spirituality or not, listeners, that is your business. It's not for me to judge or to criticize you. But I will say that even if you don't have a spiritual being, or you may be agnostic or whatever, that's fine. That's your life. You live it. You do your thing. But you still need to be whole. You still need to be well in you in order to be well in a relationship. So I just wanted to put that out there. And here's my final thought, folks. It's important to bring awareness to what is getting in the way of us truly understanding what's being communicated to us. When we're able to get beyond the roadblocks that are presenting themselves in our relationships, in our communication styles, we can establish healthy communication and build meaningful relationships. Be deliberate and intentional. I've been saying that every single solitary show for almost a year now. Be deliberate and intentional in expressing your needs in a non-judgmental or fault-finding way. Because relationships are about having needs met. Jacqueline said it. We need them, right? But we need them to be healthy. Be deliberate and intentional in expressing your needs. Purposefully validate the emotions, the wants and desires, the beliefs and opinions, the actions, and even the suffering when others are communicating to you and with you. Be responsible enough to meet others in a place of common humanity by showing empathy concerning what they're going through. It ain't always about you. Hello? It ain't always about you. Just like it's not always about me or any of us sharing these tools and tips and empowerment with you tonight. Learn the art of apologizing effectively and sincerely. Don't come to folk with a laugh tail. You really don't mean it. I'm sorry. Stop it. Stop. Listeners, I want to thank you for tuning in tonight. And don't forget to join us next week as we explore the importance of taking care of ourselves, mind and body. We're going to be discussing the health of the Black woman. And as I said week after week, my focus this month is on women of color because there are so many areas in life that we are disproportionately represented. But everything that we're talking about on these shows are relevant to all women. So please be moved by why she just focusing on Black women. I'm just saying, but you know me. Come on now. But at the end of the day, my heart's desire is for people to be positively impacted by the discussions that we're having on House Talk. So Jacqueline, Tracy, Regina, we lost Carolyn somewhere in transition, but I love you. We love you. We love you. We love you. Thank you,
love you, girl,
for your contribution tonight. I want to wish my baby, my only son, my man-child, is 31 years of age today, and y'all, he's chronically single too. He gonna be like, Mom. I'm just saying, he a serial monogamous, but he a good man. I would like a daughter-in-law, some grandchildren eventually. So I'm just after to the world. My baby, y'all look on social media. He's fine too. He's fine. My baby is fine. I love y'all. Good night. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for being here. We love you. Thank you.
Awesome. So, let me just say how it's crazy because you guys are related.
It's ridiculous.
But when it gets down to like your passion and what you do, y'all remind me too much. Really? We right here.
It's in the blood.
And you do. And I'm like,
That's that Miranda Pitt.
Having y'all in an environment, whether it be, radio or